Shaykha and Shaykha aren't able to be here today, and so I was asked to fill in for Shaykh. So I'm speaking here with the permission of Shaykh Tanner Ansari. Although I'm speaking for him, if I make any mistakes, it's my problem. Who am I? I'm Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah. Yeah, generally, I live in Mexico. Generally, my students are from all over the Spanish-speaking and Portuguese-speaking world. And so I'm usually speaking Spanish or Portuguese. But here we are. I don't know if I'm on the screen or not, because the screen that I see, I'm really small, but that's okay. Does everybody hear me? You are live now. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm here to answer questions about Sufism, and the Quran. Before I start, before I get any questions, or while we're waiting for questions, I'm going to talk a little bit about Sufism. Let's do Fatiha primero. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. Anyway, it's generally thought that Sufism is unique to Islam, but actually it's not true. Sufism is the science of how things work. And it's been around since the beginning of time. So Allah has communicated science to thousands of prophets and teachers over the years. The Sufism that we today actually comes from the Kabbalah, not the Kabbalah Day magazines, pop Kabbalah, the original Kabbalah. When a person at a certain point in their development, when the soul begins to communicate and urge the person to look for God, actually what is happening is the soul begins to whisper and make itself known to the person, the physical person. It actually causes a bit of a irritation in a person, or mental problems. Actually, not right. And we want to know more. What's this all about? What's this world about? What's God? What is God? And so we start maybe with religion, whatever religion our parents were. But still, at some point, we have this empty feeling inside, and we go looking, and we check out everything. In my case, it took, because I'm a little bit dense, it took me 40 years to find my real teacher. Before that, I was involved in everything you can imagine, groups and teachers, gurus, swamis, etc., etc., etc. Until I got to a point where I gave up. And I decided that it doesn't exist, this relationship direct with God. And so I decided to dedicate myself just to Islam. And so I became involved in various masjids or mosques in the San Francisco area where I lived, where I grew up. And then by accident, I say accident, I was I met Shaykh Tanner. I was one imam in one of the mosques that I attended, suggested that we go to attend the Zikr meeting that Sheikh Tanner was using one of the rooms in this mosque. So I went to there, and I didn't really meet Sheikh Tanner. I just saw he gave a talk. And then I moved to Mexico with my new wife, who was a Mexican. And things began to get worse in Mexico because I felt this need that wasn't being fulfilled with pure formal religion. So we had to return to the United States for some legal stuff, and I called Sheikh Tanner and I went to visit him, and I knew right away that this was my teacher. And so I was at that point. This is like 30 years, almost 30 years ago, 26, 27 years ago. And so I did the bayat, the initiation, and I went and I stayed in Estados Unidos in the United States for about a few weeks more, and then we returned to Mexico. I live in a small farm town, and there are no Muslims here, there are no Sufis here, there are no groups here, nothing. But soon I was communicating with people in all of Spanish-speaking world, and now Brazil. So when I returned here, and all I did was doing Zikr. Now, Zikr, as there are not very many people here today, so I'm talking to few people probably know this, that the Zikr is the repetition, or it means remembrance of Allah. And what we do is a form of meditation to repeat names of Allah. It takes depends on the person and the situation, between a half an hour or an hour a day. And that's all I did. And soon things in my life began to change. And over the years, I began to understand things that I didn't understand before. How is that? But it's not just from Zikr. There are other things that we need to do, but an important part of this is Rabita. Rabita is the connection, as it means connection, but in this case it means connection with your teacher, your Shaykh. And while I was doing Zikr, at the same time in life, this connection with your teacher, which is also a connection with the lineage or Sisila Tariqa. Tariqa. And it's like you enter into the um, energy field of your teacher. And over the years, my teacher was teaching me without me even knowing it. And that's why I write continuously for my students, because here where I am, even before the virus, we had a cyber Tariqa. And I talk to, or I write to my students all over. And I write things that I didn't even know before. I write things that I doubt. But soon I hear Sheikh Tanner saying basically the same things in the weekly Sobet or discurso, practica, talk on Saturday. And so I know that what I am writing and what I'm thinking and what I'm knowing comes from my teacher and from his teacher, and through this lineage of teachers in our Tariqa. So this is what Sufism is. Sufism is a way of connecting directly with Allah through your teacher. And that's the reason that we have teachers, to find or connect with Allah, to be on the path, spiritual path, is a very difficult thing to do alone. And that's the reason why there's always have been these groups. These groups before the group called Sufism, altered paths have existed always with the same message, but with other words, other terminology, another terminology. Okay. Since there's very few people here, there are no questions today, so I'm going to continue talking, whatever comes into my mind or whatever Allah wants to impart. Generally, on these Tuesday afternoon talks, Shaykha, Sheikh Tanner, Shaykha Anna, talk and give information. And when he talks, and when she talks, they're talking for Allah. The difference between the religion, formal religion, and Sufism is that in the religion is rituals, teachings, and habits. It's like when Moses came down from the mountain, he had the Ten Commandments, or basically what we call it that, the teachings that Allah gave him, and he began to teach to the masses. But there's always been a certain group of people, a certain amount of people that that's not enough. What we want is a contact directly with Allah. So when these people are taught personally uh, the prophet, and the religion is formed after. So there have been 124,000 um, prophets. And the prophet comes and he delivers the science of how things are, the reality of existence. And for some time, the society where he is teaching, everything runs smoothly. And then he dies. And the people gradually, or not so gradually, begin to return to their uh, to their ways of living before. Let me break out here. There's a question from Steve in Germany, and he asked if there are Murids in Portugal. Murids, no, but I have remember, I write and I don't reject anybody. So I have quite a number of readers in Portugal. What I do is I write continuously, and every once in a while, every week for at least, I send out a couple of pages on some subject. Now I'm translating everything to Portuguese also. So I send out 2 or 3 or 4 things. Okay, let me return. And so what happens is the prophet dies. What happens when the prophet dies? Everybody forgets and begins to return to their old ways of living. But when that begins to happen, the students of the teaching profundo, the profound, much deeper. Excuse me for falling into Spanish. His students of the prophet then begin to formalize the teaching for all the people who put it to get to put how can I say to a kind of formalization of the teaching of the prophet of that time, a way to put order in the society. But at the same time, these same teachers continue the deeper teachings of the prophet of the time, and this happened over and over and over and over again. And now we see it's like the first there in our time. We remember that in recorded history there is Moses and Judaism, and from that the Kabbalah, and but the religion begins to degenerate pretty quickly, and Allah has to send or teach someone else. So after Moses came Jesus with the same message in other words. So Jesus disappeared, and so they had to form Christianity, but still continued different groups of teachers teaching the inner meaning of the religion or the teaching of the Master Jesus. And of course, when he disappeared, uh, everything fell apart. And now we have Islam. Islam also is starting a period of degeneration where the actual essence and truth of the teaching of the Quran and our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has been lost, or it has been, how would I say, reduced in its depth. It become more or less like a football team. People do a rah rah Islam, and the actual message has been watered down or distorted in many cases, but continues without stopping, without any break. We have Islam, and we won't say anything about the degeneration of Sufism, but the reality of Sufism is much deeper than is common. And so people like myself have spent years looking for the truth. In my case, also because I lived away from groups. Everything happened without my effort. I came here alone with my wife, and for some reason, people began to contact me, and that's the way it is all over the world. And I'm sure it's not different from the other caliphs. Our Shaykh Tanner, Ansari. People come. We don't search for people. We don't advertise. People come because Allah sends them to us. So Steve in Germany is in a situation similar to me. And why do you ask about Portugal, Steve? So Steve is a sheikh in Germany. Well, I started out with, and we always start out with, um, Fatiha. So let me read Fatiha in English, and then we'll talk about that. So the Fatiha means the opening. I don't have Sheikh Tanner's translation. It's difficult to find in what I have available. So I, which is a whole lot better than other translations, but I'm going to read what I have here. In Fatiha, in the name of Allah, the compassionate, the merciful. All praise is for Allah, the Lord of the world. Wait a minute. See, Hasman is pointing here on in Sheikh Tanner's translation. Thank you. In the name of Allah, the one who acts with mercy, the source of mercy. All gratitude and praise belong to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the one who acts with mercy, the source of mercy. the owner of the dominion on Judgment Day. We connect and devote ourselves to you, and we ask for your help. Guide us to the confirmed and sure path, the path of those on whom you have bestowed your grace, not on those who deserve your wrath, nor of those who misguide themselves. Now you see the difference between the way that we interpret the Quran, which has not been that way um, uh, for many years, as things have changed or they've been watered down. So, in the name of Allah, the one who acts with mercy, the source of mercy. What is Allah? A grand, even uh, even me, us, when we talk to Allah, we talk to Allah as if He was a person, which is not true. There's no way of describing what Allah is. He's far beyond reality. He's far beyond our possible the possibility of understanding him. And so we say here in the name, the one who acts with mercy as source of mercy. Mercy comes out of Allah, beyond our form of understanding, but the world, our existence, is a mercy to us. In fact, in the Quran, Allah said that our prophet, peace be upon him, was a mercy for the world. It's something that we have to make contact with. And we do this with all gratitude and praise belongs to Allah, the Lord of the worlds. So another portion of the uh, uh, Quran, it says that when we are grateful to Allah, He gives us more. So when we thank Allah, He gives us more. That's the nature of Allah. The nature of Allah is to give, the Lord of giving. And our nature is to receive. That's the basis of our world. The only difference is that to receive, we have to work. We have to eliminate the blocks, the barriers within ourselves that stand between this gratitude or these gifts of Allah that are flowing in our direction. Then it says the Lord of the worlds, and it's important to note that it says worlds plural. The Lord of the worlds, which indicates that this world we live in is not the only one. And it also refers to the fact that when we die, there is an infinite number of places that we might end up. And Allah is the owner of the dominion of Judgment Day. So Judgment Day, remember that, maybe I shouldn't say this. Time doesn't exist. It only exists here in our world. In the world of beyond, the world of Allah, there's no time. So Judgment Day, any reference to time in the Quran is not specific. So Judgment Day in one way, it means every minute. In every minute that we are here, every action that we take, everything we think, everything we see and judge uh, is part of is a judgment of ourselves. We are being judged, kind of karma, in every moment. If you look at the when you read the Quran, you see that the Quran, maybe Muslims don't like to use words like karma from other groups, but it's cause and effect. The Quran is teaching pure cause and effect. And Judgment Day is accumulation of all these causes and effects, and it's happening in every moment. Every moment we are constructing our own future and present. And then it says we connect and devote ourselves to you, and we ask for your help. Connect, Rabita, connect is the most important part of our job. How do we connect? Now it says in the Quran that we are all going to return to him or her or it. But of course it doesn't, it's not exactly that. The Quran speaks in symbolism. Connect. Allah is always connected to us. And the problem is our consciousness of that connection. And so we as Sufis are working to break down those barriers that stand in the way of our consciousness of our connection with Allah. And we are asking him for help. So when we ask for him for help is a form of zikr, remembrance. The way to connect to Allah is to remember him in every moment. That's our job. That's the essence of Sufism, remembrance. The remembrance is the way to connect. So when we say Bismillah, in the name of Allah, we are knocking on the door to make that contact with him. So we are, and when we pray to Allah, to this supreme force that we have no idea of what it is, when we ask for help, believe me, help comes. We say, guide us to the confirmed and sure path, because there are a lot of paths. We make mistakes all the time. I can tell you, like I said, I spent 40 years looking for my teacher. And so I was on a lot of different paths that were not exactly sure, confirmed paths. So we ask, this is the course. We have to ask and 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 ask. It's patience and persistence. We keep on asking and we keep on trying. We keep on what's the word? Wanting Allah. We want Allah. You can't have Allah unless you desire Allah, and it doesn't come easy. So we keep on asking for help. We want to be on, the last line here says, the path of those on whom you have bestowed your grace, not of those who deserve your wrath, nor of those who misguide themselves. So our existence here is basic. The basis of our time here is free will. When it says here that those who misguide themselves. People misunderstand verses in the Quran which say that everything is determined by Allah. It's very complicated, actually. But basically, our existence, our fate, our situation is based on our free will. We make choices. Now, it's true that we are surrounded by things we have no control. We don't have control of our neighbor, our government, thousands of things we have, but we do have control over which things we choose. So the free will is a question of choosing. So we choose Allah, and that implies that we reject the nafs. The nafs is an ego in its lowest state. So we reject the nafs, and there is our job. When we want to break down the barriers which divide us from Allah, we need to choose Allah, reject the ego. Ego. In Spanish, the word is ego. Ego. So we reject the ego. And what is the ego? The ego wants to be important. Ego wants to be important. And so we know when the ego is controlling us, when we want to be important. We want everything our way. We want to be right. We want this and we want that, and we want this and we want that. We have to learn how to control these desires. Our only desire is Allah, and that's what we are here for, and that's what our Sufism is. Well, unless there are any other questions, I know other questions, there are no questions. Apparently, someone found out that Sheikh Tanner wasn't going to be here. And so we have very few participants today. So I'm going to end this. I'm going to ask, I think, Hazma to finish off this talk. I'm happy. Wait. Someone says, because we have some new students from, oh, okay. And if you have some text in Portuguese, we can use them. Okay, Steve, I have I have a mountain of information and texts in Portuguese, and I continue with them every day. You should write me. Well, anybody can write me if they speak Spanish or Portuguese. I'm going to put my address. Okay. Wait, whoops. Um, okay, so let me see if that's correct. Okay, there's my email address. Um, okay, and so anybody can write me for more information uh, about us in the Tariqa in Spanish or Portuguese. Okay, and I'm happy that even though there were no questions, that Allah may helped me to talk today. I didn't have any idea what I was going to say. Okay, so husband, almost let's finish the talk today. Thank you, everybody.